Hello and welcome back. So far you've seen on part one I did a video starting with the truck convoy and some of the things that were really going on, as opposed to some of the things that your mainstream media and the government has been telling you that has been going on. Well, we know that so far I've shown you that what the government and the media was saying has been outright lies to you. And I'm going to be continuing on that, but there's been a recent development that I wanted to share with you guys today. So I'm going to do, this is a supplementary video on that. It's not actually going to be part two of the series. I want to do this as a standalone video. But it's important that you understand exactly what the government is actually doing to the people right now. Yesterday being Friday, GoFundMe has been, up to this point, has raised a little over $10 million to the trucker cause. Yesterday, on the orders of Trudeau, those funds have been frozen and will no longer be available to the people at all. So that's now dead. That money just went poof. That was on the orders of Trudeau. And GoFundMe said that it was based because they have been given evidence by the chief of police of things like violence, and that it is now an occupation, and whatever nonsense that they can come up with. This is Chief Slowly of the Ottawa Police Department who said this. I'm going to get to his video in a minute where he said this. But I want you to understand a couple of things about Slowly here. Again, this is my own personal opinion on him, but the couple of things are pretty clear. As many people know, Slowly was actually deputy chief of the Toronto Police Service some years ago. And when Mark Saunders was hired, Slowly felt he got thrown under the bus and left the department. He went to work for some think tank. I want to say KPMG, but I actually don't remember the exact company he went to work for, but he did some security consulting for one of these larger companies in downtown Bay Street, Toronto, and then got hired on as the chief of police for Ottawa. Slowly, however, remember, was the deputy chief under Bill Blair during the G20 riots. Now, everybody knows exactly what kind of a fiasco that was. I don't have to get into that a whole lot anymore. But it seems to me, and again, this is just my own opinion, but it seems to me that Slowly wanted his glory days of fame and infamy, or whatever you want to call it. He didn't get it. So what a perfect opportunity for him to have it now, where he can now have his fame, his infamy, and his power, because now what he can do is, and you'll see what he's done here in a minute. He's gone ahead and basically had all these funds frozen, or basically seized, because GoFundMe won't release it anymore to the protesters who legitimately donated it, and these were legitimate peaceful protests. Instead, he went on. Slowly's going on to call them, usual thugs and goons and whatever he wants to call them, and saying that he's now got investigators who are going to do all kinds of things to people who are there legitimately and peacefully protesting. I mean, the things that he's doing are indicative of things that have been going on in Nazi Germany, I kid you not, and in other communist countries. So this is what he wants. He wants a riot, because if he gets his riot, naturally, they're gonna fall right into his trap where he gets his right. The police are gonna act, and then of course Trudeau, he wants the ultimate power grab. Trudeau's going to revoke the War Measures Act, giving Slowly all the power he can possibly ever want in his life. This is nothing more than a power grab. So the truckers really need to be on the ball on this. Got a lawyer. I got a video here that weighed in on this as well. In fact, let me show you the video now.
It's Friday, February 4th, and I'm speaking to you from the hotel at the center of the Truckers' Freedom Convoy in downtown Ottawa. Over the past year, the federal government in Canada, under Prime Minister Trudeau, has taken away Canadians' charter rights, constitutional rights to travel freely, has taken away truckers' rights to travel, their mobility rights, their ability to make a living under the Constitution for those who've chosen to be unvaccinated. This afternoon, the chief of the city police for Ottawa made announcements that are disturbing and should trouble Canadians and those around the world who support this trucker protest for freedom. The police chief essentially announced an assault on the protesters. He announced that very specific measures that we normally only see instituted by oppressive regimes around the world would be initiated. He effectively announced that he is going to be taking away Canadians' charter right of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. We are being censored. Please get this out to the world.
Okay, you saw the video. Now, this is Soli's video of Soli and his speech. So you can see exactly where this is going. Have a look.
We have increased ability to identify and target protesters and supporters of protesters who are funding and enabling unlawful and harmful activity by the protesters themselves. Investigative evidence gathering teams are collecting financial, digital, vehicle registration, driver identification, insurance status, and other related evidence that will be used in prosecutions. Every unlawful act, including traffic and insurance violations, will be fully pursued, regardless of the origin, at any time in the future. The primary focus of each of these measures will be on the unlawful behavior connected to the ongoing demonstrations. This includes parallel and counter demonstrations. We strongly urge all demonstrators and those engaging with the demonstrators to act lawfully, peacefully, and respectfully. The hatred, the violence, the illegal acts that Ottawa residences and businesses have endured over the last week is unacceptable in any circumstance. The Ottawa Police Service and the City of Ottawa are bringing significantly greater resources to restore order, hold offenders to account, and protect our neighbourhoods. The current demonstration in the Parliamentary Precinct Red Zone remains unresolved despite significant successes in reducing the number of trucks and demonstrators while preventing riots, injuries, or deaths. We take no solace in these operational successes to date. Our goal is to end the demonstration. The demonstrators in the Red Zone area remain highly organized, well-funded, extremely committed to resisting all attempts to end the demonstration safely. This remains, as it was from the beginning, an increasingly volatile and increasingly dangerous demonstration.
Okay, so you've seen both videos. Now, GoFundMe and Soli are saying that there have been acts of violence, when in fact there actually hasn't been. And this is Ottawa police themselves are saying that they've had no reports of violence. I showed you that in a previous video. However, let me show you acts of violence that actually have occurred here. Here's one. It's a video. It's on video. I mean, this guy's not even hiding it. Have a look.
Wow, hate crime.
So I don't know. That looks like violence to me, but that must have escaped Soli, and I don't know how, because I found this video on the internet, which means he could have done it too. But I guess he's very selective as to what he calls violence. Let me go back to GoFundMe for a minute. So GoFundMe is saying that this trucker protest is an occupation, it's illegal, and all this kind of nonsense. Fair enough. Okay, let's say we agree with them for a minute. Okay, I personally don't, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say they're right. They didn't have a whole lot of problems when Black Lives Matters in Seattle and Portland and many other places were doing what Black Lives Matter does: burn, loot, and murder for months at a time. Seattle and Portland were nothing but war zones for months and months and months. GoFundMe had no problem coming up with millions upon millions of dollars for those particular causes, and those were clear-cut acts of terrorism. But truck drivers protesting because they want their freedoms back and they're doing it peacefully is perfectly illegal now? I don't know about you guys, but this seems to be a whole new set of problems here with them, and frankly, I think they've got some problems on their hands coming up with this. This is just my opinion, but this is what it has come down to. So they don't like certain groups, so they decide through Trudeau that, oh, well, we can't have this protest going on because it goes against our plans, so we're going to come up with a whole bunch of invented ideas and invented crimes, none that never ever actually happened, but we'll just say they did, just so that we can cut off the funding and find ways to keep it or donate it to somebody else. So what does Ottawa decide to do now? They want to try, and they were actually talking about sending in the military. Well, seems that looks like the military has had a different plan, because and I'll show you the screenshot here too. It says military tells Ottawa to find someone else to evict the truckers. So the army's not going to do it. But here you go. That's what we have in this country going on right now, where freedom of speech, as long as it's peaceful, freedom of expression, as long as it's peaceful, which the trucker protest has been, is no longer considered acceptable. Oh, right, the unacceptable views of the I can't even remember what he calls it, the tinfoil hats and whatever else he wanted to call them. This is Trudeau for you. This is the leader of Canada, who tells you one thing but does something else entirely. If you think for 1 second that this is his only act of stupidity like this, well, I can show you more. In fact, I'm going to do a follow-up on this video in my next one. You remember, I want you to keep in mind the video of him talking to an injured veteran. This is all on video. We're gonna dissect that a little bit in the next one. Stay tuned. You're going to find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.